Welcome to For the Record, an unfiltered view on current trends and timeless advice for surviving in the aesthetics industry. Whether you're an injector, practice owner, sales rep, or marketer, it's time to set the record straight. Each week, we cut through the chaos and showcase diverse perspectives and winning ideas from the best minds in the industry. I'm your host, Dr. Tiphany Hall, Chief Growth Officer at Aesthetic Record. Now, let's get started on this week's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another For the Record here at Aesthetic Next 7.0. It's been an awesome weekend so far, and we have with us one of the stars of our show, one of our business gurus, business consultant, also the founder of Diamond Accelerator, and just an all-around practice building boss, what I'd call you. We're here today with Katlin Cauffman, who is back for a second time on the podcast, a repeat guest. And she's had, I think, a session already, a workshop already, and has had some great results here at the conference. So welcome to our show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm having such a great time at the conference. It really is a can't miss for the Diamond Girls to join you here.
We had a fun live yesterday that I saw on Instagram. Looked great, but you kind of been here, there, and everywhere. And I think you're also like that in the market too. You're kind of here, there, everywhere in practices every day. So give us an idea, Katlin, of what you're seeing right now as sort of the hot buttons or the big wins from those who are really doing well in the market.
Yeah. So I really believe that it's all about taking ownership and having a growth mindset. So controlling your own destiny and not sitting back and waiting for stuff to happen itself, right? And so I'm just super passionate about empowering practice owners, practice managers, and your team on a game plan of what you can do to take control of your own destiny.
Well, I think it's been interesting this weekend, particularly, we've got great injectors, people who have great skill set. And they're like, how come my practice isn't growing? I'm really talented. I'm really good at what I do, but no one's coming in. And I think the business section this year has been really, it's been bustling because people are trying to understand why they don't have a huge patient influx. Give us an idea of kind of from a high level looking around why skills are just not enough. It's not the only thing that matters. You have to have so much more in the bucket than just being a great injector.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about working smarter, not harder, doing more with what you have. So many people have all the patience they need to blow their goals out of the water, but they're just not squeezing all the juice out of the opportunity. They think, I need to spend more in marketing, right? And really what they need to do is get more intentional about what they're doing in the consultation room, intentional about what they're doing in their downtime, intentional with every member on their team and turning them into revenue generating machines. In fact, this morning, my talk was just about that, how that it's just not your injectors or SDs that are revenue generators. Your front desk is a generator of revenue. Your practice manager, your business owner, your MA, everyone contributes to revenue at the end of the day. And you should be having very clear activities that they're responsible for that is correlated to a KPI or a benchmark to track that type of result that you get from that activity.
Well, so thinking through that, how do you align that? How do you sit down your injector, your MA, your front desk, everyone together and say, we're working toward this goal. Let's align our interests, our process, how we're going to do it, how we're going to measure it. What does the alignment look like for a practice to all get behind sort of the same message for revenue generation?
Yeah, it's really about being intentional with SOPs and processes in your business. So let's just look at one metric like rebooking. Some people would say, oh, that's the front desk job. Some people would say, oh, that's the injector's job or the provider's job. It's everyone's freaking job at the end of the day. And you have to break it down with just a fine-tooth comb. And so that everyone understands their role in hitting, right? We want everyone to be at an 80% rebooking rate. And first and foremost, you got to track it, right? We automatically see practices that just start tracking that KPI and a 10% increase just by tracking it. And then when you set a goal and then develop strategies and orchestrate what that looks like with your team, then we're seeing 70, 75, 80% rebooking rate. And oftentimes that literally can get you to your revenue goal just by starting to track your that specific KPI. And you have to make sure that each individual team member, your front desk, your MA, your provider, your practice manager, they understand their role to get to the result that you're after.
What's that called? The Hawthorne effect. Whenever you measure something that starts to get done, like I think to your point, if you measure it and you don't just go with your gut, you start to see there is a gap. Or I think everyone's doing it because my last 3 patients rebooked. So everyone's rebooking. It's like, well, actually the last 10 before that did not rebook. It's like that recency effect. And so I do think that measuring it makes a big difference. Our EMR, shout out to AR, we definitely do rebooking. But I think that's only one part of the puzzle. And I love what you said about everyone's doing it. How they do it, I think is also important. Like the same verbiage, the same messaging, the same alignment. But at the end of the day, it's like what you make per patient in the chair, like the butt in the chair. How do I maximize revenue for that patient in the chair that day? So as you know, and I know you do as well, we love revenue per hour. That's kind of our number around here. That's our metric. So what are we thinking about revenue per hour is a good target for an injector?
Yeah. So the national average for an injector is anywhere between $500 to $700 is what is considered average. If you are below $500 an hour, you are like the low standard. If you want to be a top 5%er, you're doing $1,000 plus revenue per hour. And really less than 10% of injectors are doing more than $1,000 per hour. And so if you aren't doing at least like $800, I would say, then there's a lot of work to be done. And it's the smallest things that literally overnight can get you there by hundreds of dollars an hour. But first, you got to start tracking it.
Give us an example of a thing that you think is so small and not important that can make like a massive swing.
A lot of times, our injectors are feeling rushed and overwhelmed, and they are allowing the patient to dictate the treatment plan. The patient came in and said, just give me my regular 20 units or 40 units, right? And they're not taking the time to do a head-to-toe consultation. They're not educating them on the importance of keeping a scheduled treatment plan or adding in medical grade skincare or wellness or lasers and devices. And so if you are the business owner or the practice manager, you want to develop some, good, better, best, go to, have it in my pocket. Everyone, all our patients are doing this treatment plan to help make the conversation easier to start. And also the minimum standard. And then it's easy. And then you just keep adding thereafter. But you got to give them a place to start, a roadmap to go on.
Well, that's the question that I have. And this has always been like a perplexing thing for me is when I go to my injector, they're going to give me a full look every time. Like, let's look over to see if we need anything here, there, everywhere. When you're booking a 10-minute visit for toxin back to back to back, and the patient presents with lips that need to be injected, tough luck, sister. There's not time for that.
Yeah.
I think that there is a part of this where you could do a lot of volume, a lot of quantity, or you could also do a lot more with one person. And I think the work in the room, if you have one set of consents, one set of MA cleaning up and putting the room together, one set of person in the chair, but you maximize that visit to do more things. I mean, I think you got to decide kind of who you want to be as a practice. But I often think about that. If you're booking them so close together because you just want to get people in, there's no time for extra stuff. And then the patients to come back again, then they're like, gosh, can you just do it today? But you can't because you're behind. It's a hard balance, I think, to strike between if you make that a little bit longer of a visit for the consultation each and every time, or you say, let's get them all in at once and get as much as we can do. What are your thoughts?
I'm so glad that you said that. So one of my free trainings that I have out there, Injector Profit Playbook, there's 10 common reasons why an injector would have low revenue per hour. And I will tell you half of those reasons have nothing to do with the injector. It has to do with the pricing model. It has to do with how the front desk is scheduling, how you're rebooking. So literally half of the things that you can double your revenue per hour has nothing to do with the injector. And that's why I'm saying it's a team effort. And so you need to make sure, again, every team member understands their role in achieving like the best experience, the best results, the best revenue for the practice. So I totally agree with you that it's not just on the injector knowing that they should add threads or biofillers or the devices. The practice manager needs to look at the utilization rate, look at the revenue per hour. And if it's low, they need to investigate why. Maybe that injector needs an MA. Maybe that injector or maybe the front desk needs to get better with the schedule, right? And so there's so many different levers that can be adjusted to just skyrocket revenue per hour for that injector.
Well, I love that you said that because my number one tool is getting an MA. Everyone I talk to that's like, we're like, do we do it? Do we not do it? They brought the MA on. Like, oh my gosh, I doubled my revenue because the MA is selling for me. When I'm preparing and marking the face, she's talking about what else the patient might need or reiterating how great this is going to be for the patient. So she's helping me to sell, but also I'm not worried about opening syringes and measuring my tox units out. And I can keep looking at the patient and doing things. And I'm not wasting the time. Like every minute in the chair should be revenue optimizing, we hope. But if you're doing all your own stuff, it can be very challenging. So anyway, all that to say, I was listening to Leslie Fletcher give a talk. She's like, the number one thing I did for my practice was hire an MA, and it just like revenue skyrocketed. I think it's genius because I think to your point, it is a team effort and you've got to all work together. But I'd love your thoughts on that too. Is that a thing that you think you should spend money on, not do it? Should you do it? Give us your opinion.
I'm a huge proponent of an MA. However, you can't just expect to hire someone and then think that it's magically going to solve your problem.
Why not? I want that in my own life. Can I hire one just to take care of me?
You have to have an SOP. You have to set expectations. They have to understand how they're like the yin to the yang. They have to be prepared in the sense of, are they reading the chart notes and being like, hey, last time you talked to him about this, don't forget to, I prepared this. Like it really has to be a team effort, a partnership between the two of them, and it would be wildly successful. But when you just expect to hire someone and magically things are going to happen, what happens is the injector is like, well, I have time to check Instagram. I have time to, go and pick up lunch or go to Instagram. It's like, no, I brought this person in for you to see more patients or spend more time with patients to grow your revenue per hour, utilization, and rebooking rates at the end of the day.
Yeah. There has to be a purpose-driven decision-making, but you mentioned your injector profit playbook. I have a question for you about patient financing because I think about profit overall. I want them to spend more when they're there. And I think that the financing wave, it's hit AR in a big way. I think we've launched 4 financing partners, but everyone's doing patient financing. How does that fit into, from the consultation standpoint, making an actual plan that you want a patient to go through the whole thing, full face correction? Is that part of your discussion and what you recommend for practices?
100%. The provider should never be afraid to talk about money. It's a part of the decision-making process. So don't be afraid. You also need to know how to use the tools. It is one of my pet peeves to hear providers be like, I don't talk about money. I don't know how to use it. It's scary. It's just your freaking job to know.
It's right? Your paycheck, right? To know how to use it.
Because if you don't, then the patient is going to get overwhelmed and forget about it. And then it's going to be their excuse of why they don't move forward. So you need to, I love when a practice manager has a one sheet. If you have your go-to standard packages, you can break it down of like, this is how much it is. And with our patient financing, it could be as low as $89 a month just to start the conversation. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And even if it's not your role to take it over the finish line, you have a higher buy-in. But I always believe that you are ultimately responsible for getting that patient over the finish line. So I'm not a big fan of just handing it off after you spent, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour with a patient, and then expecting your front desk, who has no authority, no, rapport, didn't just touch my face and I didn't tell my deepest, darkest secret to, right, to take it over the finish line. So I am a big proponent that the provider should absolutely know how to use patient financing and use it as a tool to close, $3, $4, $5, $10,000 packages.
Totally agree, especially the 3, 4, 5, 10, the 10,000 for sure.
That's right.
So back to the playbook, because I want to know what all's in this thing. I want to know more about it. I feel like this is what people need, is like an actual playbook. We know we need to fix things. We know we need to improve, but we're also like, how the hell do we do it? We're all busy. We're doing a million things at once. You've built, from what I understand, a playbook that kind of tells us soup to nuts how this whole thing can happen for us. So give me an idea of, first of all, where do we get this thing and what can we expect to get out of it once we start using it?
Yeah, we're going to link it up in the show notes, or you can go to my Instagram, go to my Linktree, and you can download the free training there. But I created this because so often I heard business owners or injectors be like, I feel like she does a good job. I feel like patients love her. And, tracking revenue per hour is the truth teller at the end of the day. It absolutely tells you where you rank. And then you can see nationally, where do you rank of the best in the injectors? Are you above average, or below average? And then it will give you a blueprint of why all the common reasons that your revenue per hour sucks or your greatest opportunities to grow. And it gives you a worksheet that you can do with your team members of where you should focus on first and what goals you should be setting, and watch your revenue per hour just skyrocket when you have intention behind the way you do business.
Well, I think if nothing else, you get sort of a checklist of where to start. Because I do think it's overwhelming to what you just mentioned. It's like there's all these reasons why it could not be going well, or you could be pulling just tiny little lever, like little tiny things and making a big difference. And I think people get sort of paralysis analysis of,
yes,
I could do 1,000 things or I could just do one thing. And I think what you're saying is you could do one or two things really, really well and see significant improvement. And I think you get some confidence behind that. Like, okay, I'm making some progress here. It's getting better. And then I think you kind of get the gusto to do more things. And it's a scary place to be, right? Revenue per hour that's your payroll. That's your paycheck. That's the door staying open. So if you don't do it well, the practice suffers. Like, this is the most important thing. I mean, to your point, this is the metric. This is how you decide if you're successful or not successful. So guys, you go get this. It'll be in the comments. Like she said, go get it. Definitely download, start using. I think it's a huge tool.
Yeah. If you're not tracking it, start tracking it right away. We teach you how to track it. We'll tell you exactly where you line up in the nation. We'll help you identify what the potential levers are of why your revenue per hour is low. And then we give you like 12 different ideas on how to, now that you've identified the hole in your leaky bucket, what can you do to grow revenue and really help to take the overwhelm out of taking action and implementing these strategies?
Well, sort of last question of the same idea here is, I'm a big believer in your inventory should reflect what those goals are. If you have every filler of every kind on your shelf or every skincare product on your shelf, you have no economies of scale and scope. You're paying a fortune. How much of this is helping an injector or an MA or an esthetician understand that inventory costs are directly relevant to the profit per hour, not just because you could be making a ton of revenue and take home no monies, as you know. How do we help them understand that there's a part of it that's like the business cost that also really matters for our end of the day paycheck?
This is where practice managers and owners can't be afraid to talk numbers with their team. It's still so like hush hush. Like every day I run into no, we don't talk about that with our clients or with our team. And that same kind of mindset bleeds into providers being afraid to talk about money with patients. And so you got to change that right away. It's a business. And you have to teach your providers that they are responsible, and that's just as important as patient results and experience. All those pieces come together.
Well, and I think to that point, if you're scared to discuss money with your own team, then don't be upset if they can't talk about money with their patients, because we all have to have it, right? Money makes the world go around. We all need it. I need more. I'm sure we all need more of it. But last question I have for you is about really the team and recruiting. I know that you've done a lot with recruiting. You're looking at how to help build better practices. That is also a huge gap, because right now the talent pool can be shallow. It can be shallow in some places, and every practice is looking for great injectors, great skills, great Rolodex. If I'm going to go look for an injector today as a practice, what are the things I should know about the talent market today for injectors?
Ooh,
that's a loaded question.
It's such a good question. Let's look at it from the med spa perspective. So, of course, they come to me and they're like, I want an injector that has a full book of business, and they knew how to do filler and biostimulators. And so they want experience. You need to be able to cast a vision of what's possible to bring that top talent over. Like, why should they leave their gig, their solid, like secure job, to come over to your practice? And so many people can't communicate that. They're like, well, here's the hourly and here's the commission or the bonus. Okay, they're already getting that. People want an opportunity to grow, to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves, to have opportunities for leadership, for opportunities to grow their skill set. Are you going to invest in their education? Are you going to take them to conferences? And if you can't communicate what's in it for them besides just the paycheck, you're not going to attract that top talent. Those practices are just getting the new ones that just left the hospital, and they're like, I don't want this. I want to experience Injector. Well, you have to sell yourself just as much as you expect that new employee to sell you on why they should choose you. And too often times we find business owners ruining it because they show up and they're like grilling them. And even when they get that top talent, they're not able to communicate why that talent should choose them.
Yeah, I agree. If you're not ready to take the talent on, whether that's leadership plan or pipeline, that's onboarding, that's really the whole spectrum, don't hire somebody. I mean, even for us, we have that. If we're not ready to like onboard and develop and manage and maintain and promote, then it's not time for us.
Yeah.
Because if you're serious about it, you'll put those things in place to make sure that, like you said, CME money, conference money, I think it's really important, especially now because everyone needs an experienced injector. We're all fighting for the same amount of people. It's a competitive world. You gotta have perks and benefits.
It's so competitive, and you have to be recruiting year round, be
yeah.
filling that pipeline so you're never held hostage by an employee, or you never have to make a quick decision or a settle on a hire because you're desperate. And so some of the assets that I love to tell practices that they should have in their pocket at all times is you should have a one pager on why people should want to work at your med spa. You should have a letter from the CEO or the business owner about what it's all about to be a part of your team and who you're looking forward to bring on. You should have employee testimonials talking about why they love working at your med spa and the impact it's had on their life and who they really want to surround themselves with. You should have a culture deck. You should be able to share your mission and your core values. That is going to attract top talent that is looking for more than just a paycheck. And those are the people that when they come into your organization, treat your baby like it's their baby.
Well, then it all works together. I think it's a great sort of bow at the end of this is you hire great people, put them on a great team, let them do great work, and all of a sudden you'll have great revenue, hopefully great profits as well. But it really all of it starts from the hiring process. I mean, if you don't have great talent, the rest of it's, can they get there? Yes, but it's really, really hard, as you know, to get them to where you want them to be successful. So I'm all about the recruiting process. And I think bench talent's great too. People on the bench, I don't want to be a hostage. I know you don't either. Have some backfill just in case. And also people get pregnant, they get sick, whatever happens. I think you have to have a buffer. It's dangerous not to.
And I will tell you that when let's say you have a great interview and they're like, oh, great. When can I get started? And you have to say, oh, we're not quite ready to pull the trigger yet, but I'm going to keep you in mind. They're checking in with you. That makes them want you even more to have that scarcity. And then, when I always tell employees or potential new hires, when I make an offer to them, I was like, you have 48 hours because I want people that are 100% like, yes, I want this kind of thing. If you have to think about it, then we're not in alignment.
If I've got to track you down, this happens to us. I'm like, if I have to track you down to beg you to take this job, not for me. Because this should be when you're like the most eager. This is like the first date when you're so excited about, the new person.
Yeah, don't play hard to get with me, girl.
Yeah, we're past that. We're past that point. Well, I loved having you on again for our round 2 today. And we're here at Aesthetic Next. It's busy. We've got things happening everywhere, more sessions today. What's left for you this weekend? Anything more?
Yes, I have one more panel tomorrow morning on recruiting and hiring.
We're going to talk about it. It's one of my favorite topics. And I love the culture deck. I love all the things you just said in the interview. We go through all of our core values and are you a fit or not a fit? And if you're not a fit, that's okay. Like I'd rather know today you're not a fit than in 6 months when you're already here. And it's like we've wasted all of our time and money on onboarding, which is never a fun thing to do. But all that to say, we'll be in tomorrow. I'm talking about HR topics, but I think the market is in a great position for all of this. Revenue per hour, financing. It's a good time to be alive in aesthetics. So anyway, with all that, we're going to go ahead and sign off, and I'll make sure I link in the comments the playbook. And then also go to Katlin's site. You have tons of other resources too.
I'm so passionate about just leveling up the industry as a whole. I give away like 95%. Yeah. I'm just so passionate about just helping practices like grow. And if you're an action taker, like you literally can get an MBA education on growing your med spa.
Yeah. So head there right now to Diamond Accelerator, and we will see you guys all for the next episode of For the Record. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of For the Record. This podcast is not intended to provide legal or medical advice. It's for entertainment, education, and information purposes only. For more information on this week's guest or to get started with Aesthetic Record, email us at info@aestheticrecord.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more fresh perspectives on disrupting the status quo and surviving in the aesthetics industry.